Hi, welcome back to Career Goals. Today I'm joined by a father and daughter duo, Laiba and Changiz Baig. So how are you both today?
We are fine, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Just for the viewers at home, can you tell me a bit about yourself, both of yours, and your career history so far?
So initially I did start off in accounting. So I actually started doing accounting when I was 14 years old. You're actually not really supposed to, but we wrote a letter to AAT and I said, I'm just so keen and so passionate about accounting that I need to do an exam. Like I'm itching to do it. So they said, what a little weirdo, sure you can. Of course you can. So they said, yeah. So I took my first exam when I was 15 years old, and I also certified in bookkeeping at 15 years old as well with QuickBooks. And then basically I got my first job in accounting and I was literally over the moon. And then I basically was an accountant for 2.5 years. And during that time, I actually ended up getting really sick and I had to take sick leave for about 6 months. And in that time, I just had like a realization, like I had an epiphany, right? And I was like, oh my God, like everything I was doing outside of work, I was doing a lot of charity work. So I did worked for the council. I was youth mayor for 2 years of my town. I basically set up a youth business network where I helped all the small COVID businesses with their marketing, collaborations. We used to have a podcast, and this is all outside of work. And I would, or like my dad would always be like stop these things, you know, focus on your, his main thing was always, he used to say, once you get your accounting qualification, you can literally go jump off a bridge, you can do whatever you want, like I don't mind, but just finish your accounting qualification so you have something in your back pocket. And I was just like, okay, he's just giving bad vibes right now. So I'm gonna go and do I'm gonna go do these things outside of work because they're stimulating like my passion. Like,
Yeah.
And then I used to go to work, and at one point, my manager, and I used to just clock in, clock out, do my work. I was really good at my job and everyone loved me there. But one time my manager did say to me, he was like, Laiba, like, do you just come here like just to work? And then like, what is it? What are you actually doing here? And I was like, it sounded a bit mean when he said it. And I was like, oh, that hit a nerve. That's a bit rude. Do you not know accounting is my passion? But I was like, he's actually right. Like, what am I actually doing here? I don't think I want to be in accounting. So I was like, okay, I'm going to finish my studies and I'm just going to stop. I'm not going to be an accountant anymore. Like, that's the mindset that I had. Quit my job. And my friends were like, go and beg for your job back. I was like, never. I've done it now. That was the biggest thing I could have done, and I've done it. So from there, I ended up being in security for 3 months, and I basically lied to my dad, and I would go to work every day dressed up in accounting wear and like just go to work and then come back. But this whole time I'm trying to find a job in marketing. Like, that was what I was mainly trying to do. Once I finally got my job, then I told my dad, and I was like, you know what's funny, right? So I was like easing him into it the whole time. I was like, Dad, like, so many people are getting fired. Oh, it's so scary. And he was, because it was COVID, it was the perfect excuse. No one was getting fired in my firm. We were doing really well for ourselves, actually. But I was like, he doesn't know that. So I just carried on. Like, I just said to him, I was like, this person got fired today, this person. And then I said to him, I was like, Dad, I got fired and blah, blah. Like 3 months later, once I got my marketing job. And then he was like, oh, let's write them a letter. We're going to go there and we're going to say, why did they fire you? You were such a good employee, blah, blah. I was like, we don't need to do that. It's okay, it's fine. I'm fine with that. I've come to terms with it, actually. But then he said, he came in my room like half an hour later and he was like, I know my daughter. He was like, I know you didn't quit you didn't get fired. He's like, I know you quit your job. And I was like, yeah, I did. Sorry.
How did you react to that?
I myself, initially I was really upset, like a pure Asian dad. And then I realized that let her to do what she wants to do. So I gave her a room, just okay, do it and show me what your potential is. And he has done very well then after that, yeah. But I'm still adamant that she can, pursue her career in an accounting as well.
Yeah, he says it all the time. He's like, you're going to come back
at
to
least she
accounting.
can do a CMO qualification because, all these sort of things. I myself is unaware about all these social media things because all I know about social media is just a Facebook. But now after this, I've learned so many things, it's like so many things, TikTok, Instagram, what was that, the yellow thing, what's called? Snapchat, yeah. I myself is a fellow member of Association of International Accountants and a fellow member of a Association of Accounting Technician. And I did my AAT in 2003, and that was I did with Kaplan, And all my study, I have done it on part-time basis. And after doing my first level, which is called level 2, I was easily managed to get a job into like a simple bookkeeping job in a local business. Like it was a very small business, which is in accounting term is called SMEs. So with that, the good opportunity I have got is that I got earn and learn together. You know, while I was working, I was earning as well, and they are just doing some sort of help with my studies as well. So myself, I can explain to you that I'm from Pakistan, and I did my accounting degree in Pakistan. So I was very ambitious person at that time, because I was like late 20 years, and I moved to England, and I moved here with like £150 in my pocket. So I did all sorts of work in England. My first job in England, I did a cleaning job.
Okay, with that accounting education as well?
No, before inducting into AAT. My first job was a cleaning job, and I took that job because with the cleaning you can earn more money and you can earn, with your own pace. So luckily I got a job like I was working at night time, and then some of the time I was sleeping, and then I go to work. So I'm managing all these things. The good thing with this AAT that initially that it helps me in setting my, managing my time, how to manage the things, working, earning, and enjoying myself.
So, because you're in social media now, so like fast forward, you've done really well for yourself. And but do you teach him that type of stuff, like to be like it's working?
Actually, so initially I started off like it's not even been a year yet that I've been in social media actually. So I got my first job in marketing, and I was made redundant about 8 months later. And I was like, that was my like lowest point, because I was like, okay, I think I've tried now. Let me just go back to accounting. But before that, let me just give it one last push. And even my dad every day, he was like, I told you, you're going to go back to accounting. This is the way, blah, blah, this is a secure job and this and that. And I was like, no, I need to try. At this point, I had nothing left. Like I had nothing, no job, no nothing. And I was like, no self-respect. I was like, I might as well just start posting on TikTok. So I started posting every single day. And I only had like 2,000 followers, but TikTok ended up reaching out to me. And they were like, we'd love for you to join our Rising Star program. And I was like, this is literally a scam. You're lying. I literally have 2,000 followers. Like, we need to slow down right now. But I just went with it because I was like, what can I actually lose? So now I'm a TikTok Rising Star. And I did that for a couple of months. I'm still doing it, but I was doing it for a couple of months. And I was like, I still need a job. That's what my main thing was. So then I ended up getting a job in the marketing agency. They're called Multiply, and that is like my dream job. I work from home. I literally make TikToks for a living, and I just live my best life. I get to work with so many different companies. So my first ever brand deal was with a skincare brand called Vichy. And I remember I did this video and I was thinking, I was so scared. I was so scared, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. This was like a couple months before I'd lost my job, and I wasn't that serious about UGC. And I was so scared that someone's gonna see it. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. So I did it. And it got sent in my family group chat. Everyone and their dad saw it. Like the postman was stopping me in the street asking for my signature. I'm joking, that didn't happen. But then what happened, right? I was like, then my dad called me in his room, because obviously someone sent it to my dad, and I was like, oh, so scary. And I went in his room and he was like, what is this? And I was like, I'm doing marketing. And he was like, no, you told me you're doing marketing. You never told me that your face is gonna be everywhere in the world. And I was like, yeah, it is. Sorry about that. I forgot to mention that fine detail. I was like, but I was trying to explain to him, I was literally deconstructing the entire creator economy. I was like, listen, Dad, you have to understand this is an investment. These videos are assets, and in a few years' time, I can make so much money from this. I can set up businesses. I can build a personal brand. I can do this. I can do that. I can change the world. And my dad's a very business-minded person. So if you can convince him that you can see notes at the end of it, he's on board. So then he was like, okay, go for it, but like just, be careful. Obviously, like every dad, be careful, stranger danger, all that stuff, right? So I was like, yeah, say less. Then obviously carried on doing it, and fast forward, I've now gone to Cannes Lions Festival. So I was invited to go to the festival in June, which was an insane opportunity.
Do you know what's really sweet as well? Like, because although you wanted like to go into accounting, there's clearly that sense of pride still, like that you're doing well and that you work hard, and you clearly get that drive from like your parents as well, because you'd worked really hard. And it's nice because although she's not done what you wanted her to do, the fact that you're telling your colleagues in itself is enough to say.
Yeah, when I tell you, right, like when it's me, like this is a thing with like, I don't know if it's every dad, but my dad, he will never do my praise in public, like when it's me. He'll just always be like, oh, you need to
I'm not like that.
He's not.
I will say that, you know, we are that sort, I'm that sort of creature who needs, you know, more efficiency, more, what's the end, like 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, because when I was a child, I'm like a youngest person in my family. So all my elder sisters, brothers, and my mother, and my father, they are all my mentor in my family, and they need 100% result from me.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah, it gets passed down.
But when I tell you,
so I've been, you know, trained. I've been like nurtured with that sort of environment where you should have like 100%. If I come across with like 90% marks, and
not good enough.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
It's not
Why
good
you
enough.
didn't take 100?
Yeah, where's the rest of the 10%?
And the fact that you did like your first, was it AAT exam when you was 14?
Yeah,
Oh my,
it's more demanding.
Yeah,
you know, you can
if I
say.
tell you, there's never been a time that my dad hasn't told me that he got 98% on his tax exam. That's engraved in my brain. But I was like to him, where's the other 2%?
Yeah,
what's going on there?
around.
But when I tell you, like, I know my dad doesn't do my praise to my face, but when I tell you, he'll literally tell everyone and their dad about me. Like, and it's so like weird because I'm like, oh my God, like this is the same man who literally was crying and dying, throwing up when I told him I was doing this. And now everywhere we go, he'll be like, tell them you do TikTok. I'm like, no, Dad, this is so, like, I find it a bit cringe because I don't have that many followers. And I would be like, oh, I do TikTok. Like, you know, I genuinely can't do
Now I
that.
feel proud. You know, last time we went on just a parlor, ice cream parlor, and that was my daughter's birthday, 16th birthday, and they took us. And there were so many people are, you know, looking at her. And I was asked Laiba, why they're looking you? And she said, oh, they're my followers. I said, oh my God.
So
you know what's so crazy? Whenever people stop me in the street, like, so there's been a couple, not every single person, no, I'm not going to tell you that when I step outside of Manchester, there's like paparazzi, right? There's not the case. But there is a couple of times that I have people come up to me and they're like, oh, you do TikTok, and you're in TikTok. Even when I went to Pakistan recently, imagine I'm all the way in Pakistan, I went to the mall there, I went to the bathroom, and these girls were like, oh, I think we know you from TikTok. I was like, why the hell is there no one ever around me when this happens? So when I go and tell my family, they're like, yeah, sure. People stop you in the street? Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. But I'm like, as I told the girls, I was like, can you next time, if you ever think about it, can you make sure my husband's with me, or can you make sure my dad's with me, so that they can see that this actually is real?
So I'm just going to jump in and play a game of Never Have I Ever. Have you ever played it before?
No, this is the first time.
Right, okay, so I'll explain the rules. I'm going to read out a statement. We've got these two paddles, and if you have done it, it's green side I have, and if you haven't, it's I haven't, and then we'll talk about it. I'm expecting both of your answers to be a bit different throughout the statements. So the first one is, never have I ever quit my job. Never.
You've never quit your job?
No.
I don't know. Have you actually never quit your job? Never quit
No, I just, you know, I always moved around like more good opportunity.
Yeah, it's like you've never quit because you've not been interested.
No. Like more good opportunity with more, you know, good organizations.
Okay.
Yeah. So how you can describe this is like a quitting, or?
I don't know. To be fair, it depends because obviously
it's like a transition, I think.
Yeah, his is more like growth. Mine's more like no.
Yeah, it depends how you view quitting. Yeah, because I would say like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. But yours is like you've had better opportunities, so you've moved on.
I mean, I've quit a lot of jobs now that I think about it.
You know, that's my second job in United Kingdom since I was in 2003. So this my employer, I'm working with them now is 19 years.
Yeah, imagine that. And I've said to him so many times, how do you do that?
19, 20 years almost.
And do you enjoy it? Yeah, like
Yeah, of course I am. Yeah, I was inducted as a apprentice, you know, like a junior apprentice, like more senior, you know, like at that time I was 30 years old. So I was like in the highest age-wise. And now I'm like a director.
Okay.
Yeah, in the same company.
That's amazing. So next one is, never have I ever lied to my parents. You have. Going. So you lied when said that you were going into working in an office day in, day out. Are there any other times that you want to talk about?
I mean, we spoke about quite a few on the way up, about times that I told him I was going on work trips and I was actually in Manchester with the girls, you know. Now that I'm married and stuff, I can like say all this stuff without, I'm not gonna have to wake up and see his face in the morning and get like questioned about it. So I'm like, oh, let me tell you the crazy times that I had, Dad, because we can laugh about it now, you know. So yeah, I mean, does he laugh? Yeah. He also has a lot of questions as well that I try and avoid. I'm like, oh, let's not overstep boundaries here now. I've told you what you need to know. That's it. Yeah, but I get it from my dad. I really do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, because you said that you've lied.
Oh, yes. You know, like I said to you, that I was the youngest, and I am from the middle class, like a mediocre family. So I've been sanctioned all the time. So my eldest priority is to read first. So it's about after school, 4 hours study, and I can see the children's playing. At that time, we don't have like more video games and all that stuff. We have to use to play in a playground, literally, and I can see the people are playing there. So my first thing is I ask my mom that, do you need anything from the shop? I can run down and get the things for you. And then I go there, play sometime with cricket, football with my friends, spend some time, come back home. Mama asked me, where were you? I said, okay, there were so many people at the shop, that's why.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah? You know, when I was like, when I first got my license, I was out every day driving, right? And one time I actually drove for just 11 hours, just driving with my friends. And he was really telling me off, like, blah, blah, you need to stop, it's such a waste of petrol. Loads, a million different things. It's dangerous outside, blah, 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 whatever, you're gonna get kidnapped, right? I went to Pakistan, met his childhood friends, and they were like, did your dad ever tell you about the times that we like went on a road trip here? And I was like, oh, he's actually never mentioned that. Please tell me more,
And never have I ever failed an exam. You both have?
Yes.
Okay, is anything to do with accounting?
Yes, like I failed my exam, the final exam, when I was with the Kaplan, and I got like a disease which is called tuberculosis.
Okay.
Yeah. And at that time, I was off from my work like for 6 to 8 months, and by that time, because at that time we have like a AAT exam twice a year, one in June and one in December, and I was not well prepared to do the December exam, and I failed my exam, the taxation exam, which was inheritance tax, and I failed that one, and I was so upset about it because I was under impression that I can make it, but unfortunately I didn't.
Because you was ill?
Yeah, and I failed that one, yes.
It's pretty impressive that you even went to the exam, to be fair.
I know, crazy. And what's so crazy? I was just thinking about, like, how he said he got sick for 6 to 8 months? That's exactly the same thing that happened to me. I got TB as well. So do you ever think that, like, we're just living the same life? Like, sometimes I do feel like that, but we're just on different journeys. So weird. But my exam that I failed my synoptic twice. And the third time was obviously your last chance. And I remember I was literally crying, dying, throwing up because I'm not going to redo the whole thing. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Then I ended up taking like an intensive course, did it, like studied every day for a week, and then at the end of it you take an exam. So I did that and I ended up passing. And there was another exam that I failed. So I failed like 2 or 3 exams in my life, that's it. And that one I was too scared to tell my dad. Like I was genuinely like terrified because I was like, he's gonna be like, how did you fail this one? It was like ethics or something, right? I never understood ethics, like why? I don't wanna do that exam, like give me the numbers, like I wanna be able to cross-reference. I don't know what Shakespeare said, like I don't know. So then when I failed it, I basically edited the thingy, I screenshot it, edited it on Canva, and sent him the screenshot, and I was like, oh look, I passed. And then he was like, oh, well done. And like, when I started doing that, right, I was like, oh my God, that's when I had the epiphany that I was like, this could be a job. I could do this, and I'm so good at it. And I was able to obviously convince him. So, and then I ended up re-going for that exam and then passing it. So
yeah.
I was like, it just gives me a bit of time, buffer. So yeah.
No, yeah, because then you knew you're going to pass in the end anyway.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Might as well just tell you about it.
Exactly. So I just need a bit of time, and I don't want the headache of it. So I passed,
So I'm going to move over to industry myths. So what I'm going to do is I'll read a statement out and you just let me know what you think. It might be a myth to you or true. There's no right or wrong answer. So we'll see what you think. So The first statement is accounting isn't a creative job.
I would like to get her opinion first, and then I'll shed some light.
I mean, personally, I didn't think it was quite a creative career, but it depends on the industry as well, because finances you can go into a company that's a creative company, for example, but pen to paper, I would not say that finance is a
like
creative
the theory
industry.
behind it.
Yeah.
My opinion is quite different from that, because accounting is a creative job, because it's depend which sector you are working for. If you are in a public practice, you will come across with all sorts of different situations, right? And in public practice, you have like various sections: audit, tax, financial planning, and then you have like mortgages, marketing, all that sort of things. Someone like her came into the profession and changed everything. Now we are like, at least slightly modern than my, forefathers in accounting. And now we are working towards carbon accounting. So like your people, like your age, young people, when we get older, you will get more things in, like maybe some sort of space accounting will be introduced by then.
Yeah, because how has it been starting from such like pen and paper to you've worked your way up in the company that you're in and you're working with technology? Has that been like quite a difficult shift?
Absolutely, yeah. So with the pen and paper, I used to write, and I got like a mark here writing all the things, and now I cannot write because I forgot how to write. Everything is doing on the computer.
Yeah. I thought when I mentioned that statement, I thought the answer was going to be completely different.
Really?
Yeah, because I thought you was going to say, oh, it's numbers and this, and I thought you was going to say,
I
oh,
would
well,
not say that.
No, yeah.
We used to write letters in like Victorian style English.
Yeah.
So we have to memorize all the words, especially with the law, the law words, because with the Latin, in law you have a different words. You cannot say the words like we can say in a plain English. So we have to memorize all these Latin words. So with this sort of generation, I'm not saying that you are very like good, you're very educated, very intellectual, but still, if we can write something, you will go.
He's saying he's going to win. He'll win that competition. Yeah. I've got the abbreviations, LOL, OMG, and he's got the Shakespearean language on lock, So yeah.
Yeah, like as if like with technology, our generation, we've got them shortcuts type of thing.
I think just when I was leaving accounting, that's when we started to get into like cloud accounting as well. Yes. So I think that was really interesting. And then like now, a lot of obviously creators, influencers and stuff, they need accountants because it's such a new industry and they don't know like how do you do taxes, what can I write off? Many influencers.
Especially nowadays, the MTD is being introduced by the HMRC. So with that, is like all sort of things have been digitalized.
Right, okay. So it's all going that side anyway. But I know that when I was speaking to you previously, you said that you get a lot of questions about like how to get into finance and stuff. And obviously you was going to say then like about people like social media creators, they don't know how to do their taxes and stuff.
They have no idea. I've had people come to me and they're like, oh, like I've spoken about how I used to be an accountant, and they're like, oh, can you help us with this? And I'm like, I left for a reason. I was like, my dad can help you, or I can point you in the right direction for companies because I am aware of a few companies that do like influencer and creator accounting, because it is such a niche thing, and like they can write off a lot of stuff and all these other different things that you just don't know about unless you've studied accounting or whatever it is. But yeah, I did a couple of posts near the beginning of my TikTok journey, and still to this day, so many people will email me. I get at least 1 or 2 emails or DMs a day asking me, how do I get into accounting and stuff like that? And I always like literally harp on the fact that you don't actually need to go to university for it. And I think that's a very big misconception. Like when I started my accounting career, I was in the same level as someone who had went to university, and it's quite like, people just don't know about these professional qualifications and what a shortcut it can be, and how you can earn money at the same time, and you're in a professional institution, you get the experience. So I wouldn't say that, like, I'm not saying don't go to uni, but just look at your options, because there is so many options.
Yeah, no, I completely
agree. And people are shocked. People are actually shocked. They don't believe it. They're like, what? You didn't go to, how do you do it? etc., etc. I'm like, oh, don't worry, I will tell you guys. Do not worry. So yeah.
Right, exactly. So the next one is, well, this good lead on. University is the best pathway to work in finance and accounting. That's a statement. So you've already basically just answered it, but what do you think?
It really depends that which category you are describing yourself. Basically what it is like, I can give you an example, that with the university degree, what's happened is that if you are heading towards like a professional qualification, which is called ACCA or ACA, with the university degree you have less exams to do, and with a career like apprenticeship you have more exams to do, but at the end of the day both guys are the similar position. But I would say the guy who came with some sort of experience is more valuable as compared to the university graduate.
Yeah. And he's paid less as well.
So that's my own personal opinion, you know, but everyone have his own different opinion.
I agree. I mean, to a certain extent, you're at the same level, but this person has 3 years of experience and this person has 1 year of experience. This person has 60K of debt and this one was paying as they go and they're literally living their life, having fun, making friends. Do you get what I'm saying? The good thing about university, I can say, is that there's a lot of networking opportunities that has been a bit more difficult as an apprentice or as this. That also depends on your company. Honestly speaking, there's people I know that go to events, etc., and other people who, you know, haven't left the office before in their life. So it really does depend. But I think I would go towards more of the side of doing a professional qualification and gaining that experience. That's more valuable. And I would say for any industry, to be honest.
Yeah, especially if you know where you want to go, then
yeah,
you might as well have that experience. They're really good answers. Like you've just said it then, like with it being like, it's not a static industry because there's so much you can actually do. I think at first, like before I came to Kaplan, I didn't know what an accountant was. Like an accountant was an accountant, but there's actually so many job titles that surround
100%.
that kind of.
And even with AI, I mean, so many new things are happening at the moment. Like they say that by 2030, there's going to be 80% of new jobs that have never existed before. So do you not think they're going to need accountants as well? Like I genuinely believe like accounting is only going forward. Like, but that's with everything. I believe that.
Did you not see with what happened with the pandemic? All the professions, only 3 professions were live, in my opinion. First one is medical. Second one is like mobilization, you know, mechanicals and all that sort of things, engineering. And the third one is accounting, because there are so many like furlough payments and grants, bounce back loans, all that sort of things. Who did it? Accountant.
Yeah, so you've really got that job security there.
Absolutely.
Right? Is that,
And the good thing is you got an opportunity to working from home as well. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Next one is accounting isn't important if you're working in social media. We've already touched upon this.
Mate, HMRC will knock on your door if you're not declaring how much money. You know how much people make. I saw a video the other day of this girl who is basically making money off TikTok shop, and she was like literally warning people, if you don't declare it to the government, you can get in a lot of trouble, because she got in a lot of trouble for it, because they're making like thousands of pounds a month on social media, and you know, you do have to pay tax on it, you know what I mean? So it is definitely important.
Is it the case, like say if you're working in social media, because you're kind of at an advantage that you've had that education and your dad's got that education, but say if someone else went into social media, is there anyone there to tell them like this is how you pay tax?
Can I say something? I said to you that we have to change. You can give advices on like TikTok. You can create a TikTok. Let's say you can say about the personal allowances. So up till 12,570 is a tax-free money.
Yeah.
So whoever earns that much amount of money, he will not pay tax, but he will pay some national insurance.
Yeah.
So this is like 4, 5 or 10 seconds, or maybe like one minute. Yeah. And the people get awareness about it.
He's really right, because the only way that I would ever know about someone who does accounting, accounting for social people or whatever, lawyers, you have to create content, and I think it is important to to learn finance, and like even now accounting firms, the firm that I used to work for, they went viral on TikTok the other day because they know that this is the way that they're going to get to the Gen Z, they're going to get to the new set of people that are going to need accountants is through online. And you know, there's a lot of companies that'll be like, oh, TikTok isn't for us, it's childish, it's this, it's that, it's not.
And you know, by in 20 years time, you know, you might be have like big businesses.
Yeah.
So how we can attract you guys? So that's the social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I think as well, like using TikTok as an example, if anything, that's become, aside from social media and stuff, it's become like a search engine.
Exactly.
Like, if I need to make a TikTok
oh my God, do you know one time I went to a job interview and I literally told them, I was like, TikTok is going to be the next Google, because it is true, they basically implemented a new thing on TikTok, which is SEO, so search engine optimization, and it's basically becoming a search engine, like for real. They've basically, you know, hashtags, things you say in the video, things you write on the screen, all these things in your captions, people can search them up, and if you've used that keyword, it will come up. And right now, they're saying that Google, like TikTok is surpassing people from Google. That, like normally when you go on holiday, you'd search in Google, where can I go? Now people go to TikTok. And I said that in a job interview once, and he literally almost threw up on me. He was like, no, actually, you know, I was like, you know what? Talk to me in 10 years time. Talk to me in 10 years time. Don't talk to me right now. You're ruining my vibe. I didn't get that job. I did not get that job. But I didn't want to work at a place like that anyway, because you have to be innovative.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a search engine. People want to find out things through other people. I don't want to know about companies. I want to know about you. This is why creating a personal brand is so important now. Everyone should start striving towards creating a personal brand, because that's how you build a business. That's how you get like people to recognize you or opportunities. That's just personally what I believe, like in the creative industry.
So thank you to both of you for joining me today.
Thank
have
you.
you had a good time?
Yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah, amazing. Have you liked it? Is this the first time in front of a camera?
Yeah, this is my lifetime experience.
Actually,
you know?
no, we've both been on Geo News before.
Yeah, that was just not for an interview.
No.
You know, that was just like, you know, just a normal thing.
Yeah.
This
Normal,
is
being on international Pakistani news, normal day for us. See, I know he's saying he's not a social media guy.
No, it was not like that, you know, like sitting and in front of answering the questions.
Yeah,
and
it's a bit
answers,
different.
and this is a different scenario.
Yeah, we've never done this kind of thing before. I mean,
that's my first time. Yeah.
Oh, but you've enjoyed it?
Everything I have enjoyed it, yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So before we let you go, we just ask one last question, and it is, what does career goals mean to you?
You know, I'm a finance person. Now, my career goal is, first of all, you have like enough, you know, your pocket full with the money.
Yeah.
So that's fine. You know, you are achieving your goals. So if not, then you have to work hard.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think for me, career goals is like, try as many things as you can, meet as many people as you can, because you're not born with knowing, unless you're my dad, you're not born knowing what you want to do in life. You need to figure it out, and you need to try different things, meet different people, and then once you get an idea of it, put your 110% in, and just keep saying to yourself, like, I'm gonna do it to the point that I can't do it anymore, and then I can say, yeah, at least I tried. Yeah. Even though I didn't do that with accounting, but you know, that was, I knew that I didn't want to do it.
You have to try.
Exactly.
You know?
I mean, imagine if my dad stopped when he failed that exam. Do you know what I mean? If I stopped when I lost my job. Like, sometimes you have to know when to keep going and when to quit as well. I think it's really important too. People really look down on like stopping things. They're like, oh, you've given up. It's not giving up. It's knowing where your head's at, knowing you know yourself best. If I had given up accounting, then I wouldn't even be here today. Like, do you know what I mean? This is all an opportunity that I've created for myself with the things that I've done. It's all experience. You can't see it as a be all and end all. You have to look at everything as an experience, you know?
Well, that's amazing. And just for the people watching at home, where can people find more about you, the content that you create?
So I have an Instagram page and a TikTok. So I'm more big on TikTok, but it's the UGC Babe, because obviously I do UGC. And if you want to email me or get in touch with anything, then, you know, there's in my bio, the UGCBabe@gmail.com. And yeah, you can get in touch with me there.
Perfect. So thank you both so much. And if you're feeling inspired or you're still figuring out your career goals, head over to our website at catplan.co.uk. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.